You know, people always ask me, Denzel, what's the secret? How do you get there? How do you build a life, a career, a future? And I tell them this: it doesn't start with 1,000 hours. It doesn't start with some grand moment. It starts with one. Just one. 1 hour of focus every single day. 1 hour when you shut out the noise, when you put down the phone, when you stop chasing distractions and start chasing discipline. That 1 hour becomes your future. Because if you can give yourself that, if you can invest in that, the world will give you back so much more. 1 hour of focus, 1 hour of discipline, 1 hour of commitment. That's how you build a lifetime of greatness. Sometimes people think success is this big mystery, like it's hidden behind some door that only a chosen few can open. They think you've got to work nonstop, day and night, to achieve something great. But let me tell you the truth. It doesn't take a lifetime of nonstop work to start building your future. It takes 1 hour. 1 hour where you decide to give all of yourself, your attention, your focus, your discipline, to the thing that matters most. That 1 hour can change the direction of your life. And I know that because it changed mine. When I was younger, I wasn't always on the right track. I didn't always know where I was going. I stumbled, I got lost. I doubted myself. But there came a time when I realized if I didn't take control of my own time, the world would take it from me. And that's the same for you. If you don't own 1 hour of your day, the distractions of the world will own you. It's easy to give your time away to things that don't matter. Social media, gossip, television, hanging out in the wrong places. I've been there. But when you give that 1 hour to your dream, to your craft, to your purpose, you start planting seeds. Seeds that will grow into opportunities you can't even imagine yet. Think about it like this. If you can give one focused hour every day to learning, reading, practicing, building, just 1 hour, that's 7 hours a week. That's over 30 hours a month. That's more than 350 hours in a year. Do you understand what that means? That's 350 hours invested in yourself, in your growth, in your vision. And let me tell you, if you give yourself 350 hours of focus in a year, you will not be in the same place you were when you started. You will have grown, you will have improved, and people will see the difference in you. I've seen it in my own life. Early in my career, I wasn't landing big roles. I wasn't the star. But I had that 1 hour where I said, this is mine. I would use it to rehearse lines, to study other actors, to work on my voice, to strengthen my craft. I wasn't always on stage, but I was preparing for when the stage came. And when opportunity knocked, I was ready because I had been putting in the time when no one was watching. That's the power of one focused hour. It prepares you for the day when the door finally opens. Now, let me be real with you. 1 hour doesn't sound like a lot, right? You might be thinking, Denzel, how can just an hour make a difference when there are 24 in a day? But here's the truth. Most people waste far more than an hour every single day. They give their time to distractions, to negativity, to things that don't add value to their life. So if you can reclaim that 1 hour and dedicate it to your future, you're already ahead of most people. You're already separating yourself from the pack. And I'll tell you something else. One focused hour teaches you something even greater than skill. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you consistency. Because if you can show up for 1 hour a day, you build the muscle of focus, the muscle of perseverance. And that's the muscle you're going to need when life gets tough. Because trust me, it will get tough. You will be tested. You will be knocked down. But the discipline you built in those quiet hours, that's what's going to give you the strength to get back up. So don't underestimate it. Don't think you need to have it all figured out. Don't think it'd be perfect. Start with 1 hour. Put everything you have into it. Protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. Every great accomplishment, every dream fulfilled, every life transformed started with a choice. And one of the most powerful choices you can make is to give yourself one focused hour every single day. I'm standing here today, not because I was the smartest, not because I was the most talented, but because I was willing to dedicate myself to the small, consistent steps that built a foundation for success. And if I can do it, you can do it. So the question is, what will you do with your 1 hour? Will you give it away to distractions, or will you invest it in building your future? The choice is yours. Discipline is the foundation of focus. I learned that the hard way, and I learned it early. People see the success, the films, the awards, the applause, but what they don't see is the hours of discipline that it took to stand on those stages. You see, I wasn't born with focus. Nobody is. Focus is not a gift that just falls into your lap. It's something you build, something you fight for, something you protect when the world tries to steal it from you. And for me, discipline was the only way to build that focus. When I was young, I had plenty of distractions. I didn't know exactly who I was or what I wanted to be. I had dreams, sure, but dreams without discipline fade away. I remember times when I wanted to be out with friends, hanging around, doing nothing. But there was a voice inside me, something that told me, if you don't put in the work now, if you don't take control of yourself now, you'll regret it later. And that voice was right. Discipline is what made me step away from the noise and step toward my purpose. See, when you sit down for 1 hour and you give yourself fully to the task, it's not just about what you accomplish in that hour. It's about who you become. Every time I chose discipline, I was training myself. I was training my mind to stay locked in. I was telling myself that my goals mattered more than my distractions. And the truth is, discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't feel good when you're doing it. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. And most days you won't feel like it. But discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about what you decide. There were times I wanted to quit. Times when acting didn't seem like it was going to work out. Times when rejection hit me so hard it felt personal. But discipline taught me not to listen to that voice of doubt. Discipline told me get up, to keep rehearsing, to keep studying, to keep grinding. Because discipline and focus go hand in hand. Without discipline, focus is weak. Without focus, discipline has nowhere to go. But when you combine them, when you choose discipline long enough to create focus, that's when you start to see results. I'll tell you this, success doesn't come to the most talented. I've seen plenty of talented people fail. It comes to the most disciplined, the ones who can block out the world for just an hour a day, the ones who can stay consistent when nobody's watching. Discipline is the quiet work you do in the dark, when there's no applause, no cameras, no spotlight. And later, when the lights do come on, the world sees the result and calls it talent. But it was never just talent. It was discipline. Discipline is choosing to do the thing you don't feel like doing, because you know it will get you where you need to go. It's setting a standard for yourself that nobody else can lower. It's saying, I will show up, I will focus, I will put in this hour, no matter what. And once you build that, it changes everything, because discipline creates freedom. The freedom to be confident, the freedom to be prepared, the freedom to walk into any room, onto any stage, and know you've done the work. If you can give yourself one disciplined hour a day, just one, over time it becomes who you are. It becomes a lifestyle. You start to look back and realize those hours built you into someone stronger, sharper, more focused than you ever thought possible. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop waiting for motivation because you know discipline is greater than motivation. Discipline will take you places motivation can't. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. So when you look at me and you see the success, understand that it wasn't just talent or luck. It was discipline. It was the decision, day after day, to stay focused when I wanted to drift, to show up when nobody asked me to train when nobody clapped. That discipline built my focus, and that focus built my future. And if you want to change your life, start there. Give yourself one disciplined hour today. Do it again tomorrow. Keep doing it. And before you know it, you'll look back and see that discipline didn't just create focus. It created the person you always knew you could be. You see, people think success is about one big break, one lucky chance, one giant leap forward that changes everything overnight. But let me tell you something I've learned in my own life. It's not about that. It's about the small steps you take every single day, steps that look so ordinary, so simple that most people ignore them. They think it's too little, too slow, too boring. But those small steps, when you stay consistent, when you stay focused, they turn into something extraordinary. They turn into big victories. I remember being a young man, standing at a crossroads in my life, not really sure what direction I was heading. I wasn't born with a map. I wasn't born with a guarantee. I had to build it piece by piece. And I'll tell you, I didn't land where I am today by skipping the process. I got here because I took those small, steady steps that nobody else could see. I worked when no one was watching. I rehearsed when there wasn't an audience. I studied when the reward wasn't clear. Every one of those little choices became bricks, and those bricks built the road I'm standing on now. See, it's easy to get caught up in the idea of success being some big, dramatic event. We want the moment where the lights come on, where the crowd applauds, where the world finally notices us. But that moment is never possible without the little unseen hours. You don't see the actor in the mirror running lines late into the night. You don't see the student reading when everyone else is asleep. You don't see the athlete pushing through pain in an empty gym. But those small, hidden moments are what make the big victories possible. I've had people come up to me and say, "Denzel, you make it look easy." And I laugh because it wasn't easy. It was repetition, it was practice, it was focus. The truth is, the small steps are never glamorous. They're tiring. They're frustrating. They don't give you instant results. But that's the test. That's where most people quit. They want the victory without the small, invisible steps it takes to earn it. And life doesn't work that way. There were times when I questioned myself. Times when I thought, is this really leading anywhere? Is this hour I'm putting in today going to matter tomorrow? But I kept going. And what I realized is that those small steps have a way of multiplying. One focused hour turns into two. Two turns into a week. A week turns into a month. And before you know it, you've built momentum. Momentum is powerful. Once you have it, once you've created that rhythm of discipline, it carries you further than you thought you could go. I'll give you an example from my own career. People remember the movies, the awards, the big stages. But they don't remember the nights I spent in little theaters, acting in front of a handful of people, pouring my heart into a performance that barely anyone saw. Those were my small steps. They were necessary because without them, I wouldn't have been ready for the big stage when it came. Those little theaters taught me discipline, humility, and focus. They taught me to respect the process. They taught me to sharpen my craft before the world was watching. And when the opportunity finally showed up, I was prepared. That's the thing. Small steps prepare you for big victories. If you try to skip them, if you try to cheat the process, You won't be ready when life hands you your moment. Success doesn't show up to meet you halfway. It shows up to meet you at the end of the work you've already done. So I tell people, don't underestimate 1 hour. Don't underestimate one practice session, one page of reading, one workout, one prayer. Do it today, and then do it again tomorrow and the day after that. Because those steps, as small as they feel, are not wasted. They are building something inside you: discipline, strength, character. They are laying the foundation for victories you can't even see yet. I stand here today not because of one giant leap, but because of thousands of small, quiet steps. And if there's one thing I want you to take with you, it's this: don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the big stage. Start where you are, take that small step, focus for that 1 hour, and trust that it's building a future greater than you can imagine. Because one day, you'll look back and you'll realize those small steps were the biggest victories of your life. When I talk about focus, I'm not talking about something abstract or something that belongs only to people with special gifts. I'm talking about the real, quiet work of shutting the world out for a little while and listening to yourself. I've learned in my life that clarity doesn't come when you're chasing 10 different things at once. Clarity doesn't come in the noise of the crowd or in the endless distractions that keep pulling us in 100 directions. Clarity comes in those moments when you sit down, when you breathe, when you give your attention fully to one thing. That 1 hour of focus, just 1 hour, is where you find out what you're really made of, where you discover what matters most, and where you hear that small voice that's been drowned out by the chaos of the world. There were times early in my career when I felt like I had no idea what direction to take. I had bills to pay. I had doubts. I had people telling me what I couldn't do. And when the noise got too loud, I had to step back. I had to shut the door, turn off the world, and focus. Sometimes that focus was on a script. Sometimes it was on a prayer. Sometimes it was simply on silence. But every single time I gave myself that focused hour, I came back stronger. I came back with clarity, with a sense of direction, and with the conviction to keep moving forward. Because when you focus, you clear out the fog, and you start to see the road ahead more clearly. You see, the world we live in now is designed to scatter your attention. Every minute, something is pulling at you. Your phone buzzing, people talking, responsibilities stacking up. And the temptation is to give little pieces of yourself to all of it, to scatter your energy in 1,000 places. But I've learned that if you want to build something, if you want to create a future, you can't afford to be scattered. You have to bring yourself back to one thing, one vision, one purpose. And that's where focus becomes a superpower. For that 1 hour, you aren't just working. You're shaping the person you're becoming. For that 1 hour, you're telling yourself, I matter, my dream matters, my purpose matters. There's a piece that comes with focus too. When I was younger, I thought success was about working harder than everybody else, about grinding without rest. And yes, hard work is part of it, but real growth, real success, comes when you have clarity of mind. That clarity doesn't just show you what to do, it also shows you what not to do. It helps you say no to the wrong opportunities, no to the wrong people, no to the distractions that steal your time and your peace. And the only way you gain that clarity is through focus. You can't hear your own thoughts when you're running at full speed all the time. You've got to stop, slow down, and give yourself permission to focus deeply. I remember sitting in quiet rooms, reading lines over and over again. To someone on the outside, it looked like I was just repeating words. But in that hour, something was happening. I was learning rhythm. I was feeling the emotion behind the script. I was connecting with the character. That focus wasn't just about acting. It was about me learning how to give myself completely to the moment, to block everything else out until I could see clearly what I wanted to say, how I wanted to move, who I wanted to become. Those focused hours stacked up, and they became the foundation of my career. Without them, there would be no clarity, no purpose, no Denzel Washington standing here talking to you. So when I tell you that focus builds clarity and purpose, I'm not giving you a theory. I'm telling you the truth of my life. 1 hour of focus a day changes everything. It clears away the confusion, it silences the noise, and it helps you see who you are and where you're going. That hour is an investment in yourself, and it pays you back in confidence, in strength, in vision. And the more you give yourself that gift of focus, the more you discover that your future isn't something out there waiting to happen. It's something you're creating moment by moment, choice by choice, hour by focused hour. When I look back at my own journey, I realize something very important. The future is never an accident. It is never some random event that just shows up at your doorstep. Your future is hidden in the choices you make every single day. And most of all, in what you choose to do with your time. People see the awards, the movies, the success, but they don't always see the hours that were put in long before the lights, the cameras, the applause. They don't see the late nights, the early mornings, the hours I could have wasted, but chose to invest. And that is what I want you to understand. Every hour you spend in focus is building your destiny, even if you don't see the results right away. I remember when I was just starting out, I didn't have a name. I didn't have a reputation. I didn't even have a guarantee that this dream would work. What I had was a choice, how I was going to use my time. I could sit around, make excuses, talk about what I wanted, or I could get serious about the work. And I chose to work. I chose to take 1 hour at a time, every single day, to sharpen my craft, to study, to rehearse, to prepare myself for the opportunities I didn't even see coming. And because of those hours, when the doors opened, I was ready to walk through them. See, that's what I want you to understand. The future doesn't suddenly arrive with trumpets and confetti. It sneaks up on you quietly, hidden inside your habits. Every scroll on your phone, every hour you waste, every distraction you give your attention to, that's a seed you're planting. And every hour you focus, every moment you dedicate to growth, every choice you make to put in the work, that's another seed, one that grows into opportunity, into strength, into success. Your future is growing out of the soil of your daily decisions, whether you realize it or not. People often tell me, Denzel, I don't have the resources, I don't have the connections, I don't have the luck. But listen, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. The people who seem lucky are the people who have been putting those hidden hours when nobody was watching. You can't control the timing of when opportunity will come, but you can control how prepared you'll be when it does. And the preparation comes from what you do every single day, especially in that one focused hour that you give yourself. There were times when I didn't want to do it. Times when the bed was more comfortable than the script in my hand. Times when the party seemed more fun than the rehearsal. Times when the excuses felt louder than my discipline. But I knew this. My future was listening to me. It was paying attention to my decisions. And if I kept giving in to comfort, my future was going to look just like that, comfortable but empty. So I chose to fight for it. I chose to honor my future with my focus, even when it wasn't easy. And now, years later, I can tell you this: every award on the shelf, every role I've been blessed to play, every opportunity that came my way, it all traces back to those hours I decided to invest. Not the glamorous moments, Not the red carpets, but the quiet, lonely, disciplined hours that nobody clapped for. That is where the future was built. So ask yourself, what are you doing with your hours? Because the truth is, they are adding up, whether you like it or not. 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you will be living in the house that your daily hours built. If those hours are wasted, your future will reflect that. If those hours are focused, your future will reward you for it. The difference between regret and success, between a dream and reality, between a wish and a legacy, is hidden in how you use your hours today. I stand here as proof that 1 hour can change everything. 1 hour of discipline, 1 hour of focus, 1 hour of building yourself instead of distracting yourself. You don't have to change the world in a day. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. But you do have to make a choice to honor your future with your focus. Because the life you want is already waiting for you, but it can only be unlocked by what you're willing to do right now, in this hour,